Okay, asking the question, if we pull our kids out for the school year to homeschool, what ramifications does that have on the IEP status? We don't yet have an IEP for the fall, and that's because of the distant learning plan was 33 pages. City district where work will be graded and the child's school day or the children's school day is typically over by 2:30, and this has children receiving instruction past 3. Um, as you can imagine, this impacts the schedule of our entire family. I imagine our child will notice that instructional time not starting until the 2 o'clock hour. Um, some of the surrounding districts have 2-page plans where the grades to date will be what stands for the year. All right, so this is it's because your district your school distant plans are going to look different, school by school. It's going to vary by technology. It's going to vary by um, well, it's just going to vary. All right. Now, to answer your question specifically, I don't recommend you homeschool during this time. Meaning, I don't recommend. You're already homeschooling, quite frankly, but your child's still enrolled. And I don't think that you should mess with that. If you formally unenroll your child, then at that point, what that could do, depending on what state you live in, which is the majority of them, you're not going to have any entitlement to any continued special education whatsoever. So if everybody's in the same sort of status of homeschooling their child, and then having these distant learning plans, then at that point, if your child has an IEP, then you have the flexibility to negotiate with your school district. Um, per still, to a degree, the individualized needs of your child. So if this is unreasonable with regards to your family schedule, let's say one or more of you in your family household are essential workers, then at that point, some of these schedules just don't line up. And if that's the case, then this is where, even with distant learning plans, there needs to be some discussion. There needs to be some mutual determination on what works for your child. This one size fits all approach isn't acceptable. Okay, it's just not acceptable. So at that point, you see where it would be worth your while to document, to communicate, to say what your family can or cannot do, what limitations exist, and what expectations that you have. And you can negotiate during this time because the rules have not been written. The school may have a 33-page, 500-page plan, but that plan is not set in stone because we've never had a situation like this. So many of the schools are doing their best. Some are going over and above, in really trying to be ambitious in what they think they can do, in the fear that children are going to regress and the world's going to fall apart. But I like what your neighboring school districts have done, in that the child's grade, at the point of the closure, is your child's grades for the remainder of the year. The reason I believe that that's the best path is so at that point there's some continuity as to how the children were judged, meaning in whatever traditional environment they were in, and that's including special education. That way, for this distant learning process, there's an array of factors that a school system, a teacher, a classroom, and administration cannot predict, and that is the child's, environment that they're in. Because most of this stuff is being done independently, remotely. You could sit there and have 5 kids whose parents are both essential workers and not in the home. And so therefore nobody's there to really help them as far as instruction is concerned. And then you have another 10 whose parents are both home, working from home, wink, wink, and are able to sit there. So the disparity in potential outcome is unpredictable and unreliable. Now, I understand this need for a continued continuity of instruction, more maintenance so that there's not regression. But I'm not, I'm just, I'm not saying I'm giving up, guys. That's not what I'm saying. I'm being practical. I'm being realistic about what's going on. Um, and so that's what I sort of recommend that everybody do. I don't recommend that you unenroll your child because we're all in the same status, and just focus through this and get to the other side of August or the summer when we return to normalcy. And you'll find that, this is all going to work itself out.